Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Narrator Show. I'm Rich.
I'm Nick.
And today we're going to be talking about what we're up to. So Nick, what have you been up to recently?
Well, I've been away.
Yeah.
Obviously, if people watched last week, I wasn't here. So what was I doing in that time? Not going to talk about it, but I have been up to some other stuff.
Okay.
There's a couple things. I know that I saw the Hateful Eight.
Mm-hmm.
I think you talked about that last week. You liked it.
I did.
We both saw it in 70mm and the traveling road show thing that they've been doing. And I like that movie too.
Cool.
But what I would say about it is, and we can have a conversation.
I didn't really talk about it. I just kind of said I liked it and go see it last week.
Cool.
So if you want to have a conversation, we can go into it.
Yeah, so this is the 8th film from Tarantino. And I'm a big fan of his. And while I really enjoyed this movie, it's the first Tarantino movie I can remember finishing and thinking to myself, you know, I could go a long time before I saw that again. Like, I'd be fine. Like, if I watched it again, sure, but I could go a long time without seeing it. And I haven't ever felt that way. And that was my initial take.
Okay.
But in the days since I saw it, I haven't really stopped thinking about it. And I've seen other stuff since, including The Ridiculous Six, which we'll be talking about tomorrow, so stay tuned for those thoughts. Obviously...
2 days, not tomorrow.
Oh, in a couple days. Just watch every
this week, yeah. Just watch tomorrow and you'll hear all of our thoughts on everything.
But I can't stop thinking about it, and that's a good sign about a movie, but I still think that it is missing something that I feel, for me personally, Tarantino movies always bring.
Okay.
And it's a strong movie. It's a long movie, but that's not a crutch to it at all. There's not much in it that I feel like you could cut out.
Yeah.
I've talked to some people, and they would have been, and they're like, you know, the last hour is amazing, but the first 2 hours they could have trimmed down, and it's not really like a lot of everything that he does. Like, and it's very deliberate in its pace sometimes. Like I mean, they we see them hammer that door shut like 8 times, and even things like putting the poles out to go to the outhouse, which they never use any of that.
No.
It never comes into play, and we see them put each and every pole in, and it's like, all right, I get it. But a lot of that is to kind of show the passage of time, I think, but also to kind of lull you into his web.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a mystery. And a lot of that, I think it's smart pacing. That didn't bother me at all. The performances are great.
Yeah, everyone in it's fantastic.
Yeah, across the board. It's another really, really strong Tarantino movie. And if he stands true to what he is still saying about only doing 10 movies, that would be a shame.
Yeah.
You know, I want more than 2 more Tarantino movies.
I have a feeling that he's going to end up doing more than 2 more.
I listened since I saw it. I've read some interviews. He did an interview with GQ. He did an interview with LA Weekly, and I listened to his Nerdist episode that he did in promotion of this. This is a guy who loves so much about being in the spotlight and being in the conversation and being part of the awards talk, that there's no way he's going to go the second half of his life.
He'll say, okay, I've done my 10 movies, and then something will come up and he's like, I've got the script and we're going to do it.
He will not go away. Same with Kevin Smith didn't go away.
Yeah.
He was done, and it seems like he's going to make like another 15 movies.
Yeah.
So I never really buy that, but I especially don't buy with Tarantino. He's too, like, I love the guy, but when he says stuff in an interview, like, I don't know if you've seen this, but he literally said in a non-joking way that he thinks the best original Oscar award for writing should be renamed the Tarantino. When you can say stuff like that, you're not going to stop. Like, you're not going to stay out of the spotlight. So,
yeah.
But you really like the movie. Did you have any specific reasons why?
I think you hit a lot of them. I think it's really good. I have been thinking about it a lot. It's same. I want to go back. I'd love to see it again in 70mm. I don't know how long that's still going to be playing for. If it's still playing in your town in 70mm, definitely go see it. I think it's gorgeous. A lot of people have talked about, oh, well, he shot it in 70mm and he only shot like 10% of it outside and it's all wasted. I think the interior shots are incredible, or just as incredible as the exterior shots. Because a lot of it does take place in this cabin, and they're like, oh, well, he wasted this format on it. It's like, no, but you really get in there and you can see all the little details and what's happening over here and this and that and all this stuff while things play out. And I think it really.
Hot take on it.
Okay.
Again, I saw it this way, and I'm always a fan of seeing a movie in the way that its creator wants it to be seen. And I wouldn't say that it's wasted in that way. I think, though, that his real reason for wanting to do it was not just to join the pantheon of the few films that have been shot this way. I think the reason is he wanted to use the most cinematic way possible in a movie that really only highlights his dialogue. And show that I'm doing the most cinematic thing I can do to only highlight the best thing about me. And I think it was another pompous way of him doing it. But for me, and I spent a lot of time thinking about this lately, having seen Star Wars in 3D and seen this way. And these are both ways that I will never be able to see movies again.
Yeah.
And I started thinking about the fact that while I love cinema, I love that this movie was on film, and I loved seeing when the first trailer popped up on film and seeing the green, approved for all audiences and the way that film kind of shifts. I was like, oh my God, I remember what it was like. And it's only 10 years ago, really, but it brought back so many memories. I started to think, I don't really care how I see a movie. That's great that it's in 70 millimeter, but for me, I'm starting to realize that, does that mean that the Hateful Eight won't be as good for people who see it in digital, or won't be as good when we watch it on Blu-ray?
Sure, I mean...
It doesn't.
No.
A good movie should not rely on the way that it is presented. It should hold up no matter how you're watching it.
No, I agree. But I think, having said that, there's still something to seeing it, one, in a theater. You say it should hold up.
Yes.
There's something, a lot of people watch stuff on their phones or their tablets, and there was some commercial I saw recently, it was about cable provider or whatever, and it's this couple, and they're sitting on the couch, watching a movie on their phone like this, and I'm like, that's not, you don't know. There's a difference between seeing it in a theater and seeing it on, on a tablet or a phone or whatever. And I recently just saw Star Wars for the 5th or 6th time, but I went to our dome in Tampa, our IMAX dome, and it's on film. And when those lights go down and it's real quiet, and the Lucasfilm logo comes up, and you just hear the projector go, there's just something about it. And maybe it's just a nostalgia, maybe it's just the whole atmosphere that there's
yeah,
it's just this comforting
I totally agree. I love being in a movie theater, but I think it's because I spent so many hours of my life doing it that way, watching film, projecting film. I was away last week. On the flight home, on my iPad mini, I watched Ant-Man.
Okay.
And it was still a perfectly enjoyable, fun film on my iPad. And, there was something kind of funny about watching the smallest Marvel superhero in basically the smallest way I could possibly do it. But did I enjoy the experience seeing it in a movie theater more? I enjoyed being in a movie theater more than being on an airplane watching it, but I didn't really enjoy the movie more.
But there's stuff, films get re-released, and I'm like, man, I want to go see it. I want to see it in a theater.
Because you want to see it in the biggest possible way that you can, with the best sound system.
Take for example Mad Max last year, whatever time this is, I don't even know anymore. I loved it when I saw it in the theater. I still loved it when I watched it on Blu-ray. But even in there, I was like, there's just a little... It's still an incredible movie, but there's just a little extra something being in that big theater and seeing it on that big screen, and really being fully immersed in this world,
I agree, but there was also something refreshing about watching that movie on the iPad with headphones in, where I couldn't hear what anyone else was fucking... We've talked about that.
We have
that. And it's amazing. It was amazing seeing Hateful Eight on 70 millimeter, but because at least at the theater I saw it at, because it was in 70 millimeter, it started with the overture and the movie began. So the movie basically started exactly when it was supposed to,
Yeah.
as opposed to the 20 minutes of trailers that were typical. So literally, the scene into the movie, without any spoiling anything, it was the scene when Sam Jackson is already in the wagon and they're about to pick up Walton Goggins' character.
Yeah.
When a group of 8 people came in, and they were like, "Oh, it already started," because people are so conditioned to, I can show up 20 minutes late.
Yeah.
I don't care about trailers. So they came in, they were talking, they were doing this because, oh, we can't find a seat, and then the intermission happened, which was great because I got to get up, stretch my legs, think about what I had just seen. It ends. The last scene before the intermission is a crazy scene. Same group of 8 people didn't know when the intermission was going to be over.
Well, no,
they came back in 5 minutes again after the movie had started back up, and it was just like, this is really cool, but that's super distracting, and that wouldn't have happened if I was watching it any other way.
And the one thing I was saying about my screening was I didn't have that anybody coming in late. And what the intermission's really cool because it's a nice moment. It is a break during the movie, and it's at a really good natural point.
Yeah.
And we all were kind of like, now we can all talk about it. We're like, oh, what do you think's going to happen? Oh my God, like this happened and that happened. Now we can discuss it. And then the problem was, we were all just like, do I have time to go to the bathroom now? When's this going to? I wish they had like maybe let us know, hey, you have till this time, and we're going to start it back up again, or some way of something to signify that, I knew going in it was going to be a 12-minute intermission because I had looked it up and talked to people
about it. If you go to a play, Broadway show or something,
they do the lights.
The light flicker.
Yeah.
There was nothing.
Yeah.
Which is fine, whatever. How are you going to do that in a movie theater? She flickered the lights in the lobby. People would be like, oh my God. But it was cool, and I would encourage, it's going to be, I think it was only a 2-week run, right? The 70, at least.
No, it's been long. I mean, this is its 3rd week right now. It's recording.
I don't think it's continuing at our theater, but if you still have the opportunity when you're watching this to go see it not just because it is a neat experience, and I don't know what it adds. I haven't seen it both ways, so I can't really speak to that. But just go see it that way to encourage more films to do this, and to encourage movie theater chains that something like this was worth doing. And I think the run was very successful for most chains, so that's good.
I know our screening was pretty close to, if not sold out.
Yeah. Mine wasn't even close.
I
saw it at 11 o'clock at night, and this is a 3-hour movie.
We saw it like the day after Christmas.
Right. So anyway, that was an enjoyable experience, but I have been up to a couple other things which I'll talk about in shorter detail. First of which is I read Judd Apatow's book, Sick in the Head, which is a collection of essays and of interviews that Judd Apatow, the filmmaker, producer behind such things as Freaks and Geeks, 4-Year-Old Virgin, on and on and on. People probably know who he is at this point. And it's a collection of maybe 30 or so interviews that he's done with comedians. That he originally started interviewing comedians when he was in his teenage years in high school, and so there's some of those, and there's also ones that he's done now, and it's a huge range of people, ranging from Seinfeld to Gary Shandling to what's her name, Amy Schumer, all sorts of people throughout the history of comedy over the last 35 years, and it's wonderful. If you are at all interested in the process of which, it's similar, if you're a fan of the WTF podcast that Mark Maron does, I feel like some of these people cover similar ground.
Okay.
But I feel like he's able to get some interesting stuff out of some of these people, and it's a great read. If you're all interested in comedy, and the process that people go through to get to that point, it's great. I would highly recommend it. And it's a good, easy read, because you can just be like, all right, I'm going to read 2 interviews, and I'm going to put it down for a little while. So really cool. You can pick that up. It's available in hardcover now. And then the last thing is, today I saw Adam McKay's new movie, The Big Short.
How's that?
It was really good. really, really strong.
Cool.
And this movie has an amazing cast. Ryan Gosling, Christian Bale, Steve Carell, Brad Pitt are the leads, but the rest of the supporting cast is all really good too. But the amazing thing is, this is a movie that's getting all sorts of awards attention. It's appearing on all sorts of top 10 lists, and it's from the guy who directed most recently Anchorman 2. I didn't think it was particularly all that good. He's made some modern classic comedies like the first Anchorman and stuff like that. But overall, he's still the guy who made Anchorman and Talladega Nights and the other guys. And now he's just made this movie that is so confident in its filmmaking and so unique in the way that he does everything in it. I can't believe that this guy had this movie in it.
That's cool.
Like,
well, he helped on Ant-Man too, didn't he? Didn't he do some writing stuff on that too?
Co-writer. But like this, like if you were to see it, like the style of this movie and the energy of this movie, the closest movie in recent memory that you could compare to the storyline of this movie would be Wolf of Wall Street.
Okay.
Covers very similar ground, but it is as much energy as the Scorsese film had. This movie has as much energy in almost a more unique way than Wolf of Wall Street does, and I love that movie. It's I just was sitting there going, this really? He had this in him? And I don't know where he should go from. Like, I kept thinking about that too. I was like, where is he gonna go?
Yeah.
Like, you can't just, like, he can do whatever he wants, but I can't imagine him, like, now making, like, Anchorman 3. Like, it just showed that he is so much more talented than that.
Well, like, I'm wondering if it's sort of one of those things where, he gets a Will Ferrell comedy. I don't know what his relation is to them, and then
Like,
but
one for us, one for...
Huh?
Go.
Something like that, but I mean, he starts off and he's like, oh, here's this comedy, it's Will Ferrell, or whoever, they're a big name, doesn't matter who directs it, so we're going to give it to this newcomer. And then he just kind of gets into that rhythm, and then he finally gets his chance to do something different, and it's like, wow, he's got this in him, now he can...
It's insane, like, some of the creativity in the way that they even present, like, I've heard people say that this movie is very wordy because it's a lot of things that we don't understand. Part of the reason that the banks crippled the economy is because it was things that smart people didn't understand. So when you're presenting that, and he came up with such a genius way to explain some of these incredibly complicated terms. I won't spoil how they do it, but if you watch it, you'll be like, that's fucking genius.
I do really want to see it. Everyone I know has been talking about this, so I do really want to get to see it, hopefully this weekend.
You should totally see it, so we can talk about it more. But it's a great movie, The Big Short, and that is what I've been up to. Besides Hateful Eight, what else have you seen?
I haven't seen a whole lot. I saw Star Wars quite a few more times since we've last talked. The last thing I saw last night, I saw Spotlight. Finally. Which I really liked.
Alright.
I don't know if it's gonna... It's not gonna hit my favorite of the year, so I'm not sure if it'll hit top 5 or top 10, but it's definitely really solid, really interesting, really compelling. Kind of an interesting way to handle telling a story like this or a case like this or this, instead of we're going to go into the act, instead of a story about a molested kid fighting for this, it's like this really objective way. I was joking with, after it's very much journalism, the movie. Like it's all about that. So if you like those scenes in movies where they're doing the reporting and finding it, there's definitely a lot of that.
Yeah, which is exactly something that spoke to me. Like, that's my favorite. That's why I love All the President's Men. That's why I love Zodiac. That's why I love, movies of that ilk. And this definitely fit right into that for me. Even part of why I loved David Fincher's Girl with the Dragon Tattoo was all of the stuff with them trying to figure it out. And so that's, that movie... it's like my number 2 movie.
And it does such a good job. You know where the story is going. It's based on a true story. You know what's going to happen. But there's still, like, those moments that you would have in a typical work of fiction story like this, where you're like, oh my god, like it keeps going, holy shit, like it's gonna go here now, oh wow, and then they uncover this, and it just, the way it unravels and you watch it, still has those moments that really get you.
But without ever feeling unrealistic.
Yeah.
Like they could have easily added in a scene where Ruffalo's walking home and he thinks that somebody's following him.
Yeah.
And like they don't do that.
It doesn't do any of the cliche. It doesn't do that. It doesn't do, like I was waiting for like the moment where the psychiatrist is sitting down with a kid, and okay, well tell me what happened. Well, the man did this and they did. You don't have those. I mean, you have him speaking with victims as adults, but you don't have those cliche moments of show me where on the doll he touched. Like any of that shit's all cut out.
No.
Like it's very just objective point of view. This paper, and in an age now where we're really kind of losing that type of investigative journalism in a mainstream way. Like people still do it, but when a lot of news articles are really just op-eds and editorials and clickbait and things like that, it's nice to kind of see that again, where these people are really digging for facts and checking with sources and doing this and talking to these people and interviewing, because you don't really get that as much anymore.
And even though it is mostly about like them uncovering it, the power of them realizing what they're uncovering, and when you realize what they're uncovering, and like, you know, I grew up in that area as this was unfolding. I can still remember the news reports constantly about this, but like I didn't quite, when you start seeing the magnitude of how much was going on just in that city, and then at the end it shows like this is all of the cities in the world where significant amounts of this was reported, and it's just like goes on.
That went up, and I've lived in Orlando for most of my life, for a good portion of my life, and I'm like, is Orlando wasn't on? It's not on. I was looking for it.
Pretty much every other city in the world.
No one wants to.
But, and I couldn't, and whatever anyone's religious beliefs are, that's your own thing, and I'm not going to debate it, but like, I could not watch this and not feel like I don't understand how people still overlook this. Yeah. Because it's insane.
Because it's not like
it's
one not
dude.
Here's a few bad apples. No, it's a lot of bad apples.
And what makes it worse than it being bad apples is that the organization was not just covering it up. They were leaving those people in positions to do it.
Yeah. Or moving them higher.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy town.
And again, this isn't to say, you know,
if you believe, you believe.
You believe what you want, and also not to say all prieds are bad.
No, I'm not saying.
There's a lot of
same with organization. Knew what was going on.
That's a problem.
And was just letting it continue to not like to keep making money.
Yeah,
and there's no way of avoiding that. In this movie, I hope that people see this movie is going to be up for Best Picture and all those things. And I hope more and more. It did decent for a movie of its size and its content. But I hope it continues to do well, and I hope people see it and they think about also the value of journalism for uncovering something like this, but also what was going on, because it's insane.
Well, I like that they have those moments in it where, where they knew this, like people were told this. They're like, I sent you guys this stuff a long time ago and you ignored it. Like there's those, we've been crying out to try to tell this and no one's listened, and now finally.
Yeah, it took that team, and I just hope people. I will say the least realistic thing about this movie. There's a couple times, it takes place in Boston, obviously. There's a couple times throughout it where they talk about the Red Sox sucking, because at the time they did. The least realistic thing about this movie is that at no point during it do they talk about the Patriots, because it's literally happening as they're winning their first Super Bowl. I was like, what? Like, but that's a little.
Take an aside here about uncovering this.
They would have talked about it at the Globe. They would have talked about that in the movie. They make a point about talking about some Boston sports, but they would have talked about that. But I'm happy you liked it.
Yeah, it's really good.
And all the performances, they're not overly showy, but they're all so great because they feel so natural.
Yeah.
And I was really worried that Michael Keaton, after Birdman, that was awesome, we saw him, and then he just disappears again. Like, say, Mickey Rourke with The Wrestler. It was like,
great, that was a great performance, and then he just kind of...
Or Monique with Precious.
Yeah.
But you know, he's now 2 for 2. Next year he apparently has a big movie about the guy who basically founded McDonald's, and
yeah, Beetlejuice 2.
Beetlejuice 2 maybe. I think he's in the Skull Island. So Michael Keaton seems to be here to stay.
I'm glad he's making a comeback. I've always liked him.
Yeah. So Mr. Mom, you're back, and have you were up to anything else?
Not really. Playing a little bit of games. Nothing too interesting. Been dipping into that PS2 emulation stuff now they're doing on PlayStation 4. Picked up some Parappa the Rapper 2. Good times. Amplitude just came out. Another kind of old franchise brought back.
Does that stuff work on the Vita?
I would imagine it would work through remote play. I haven't tried it, but I don't see why you couldn't just go remote play it. But it's not like... It's not a cross-buy game.
Seems like it would have the power to do that.
It could. I don't see why it wouldn't, but
No, that's
as
cool.
of now, it's not.
Sweet.
But if you're into rhythm games, both of those are a lot of fun. One new, one old. That's it.
You can follow us on Twitter daily, and maybe you'll hear about some of the stuff in advance. You can find me at Stonks.
I'm at Rich Belson, and you can find the channel on Twitter at @OABeer_official. If you'd like to email us as well, you can also email us at overabeerofficial@gmail.com, and find us on Facebook at facebook.com/overabeer. You can also find us on YouTube at something. YouTube.com/BRC_something.
We'd be here 10 more minutes trying to say what it does take you to.
Yes, but...
We could change that.
We could change that, but we need your help to do so. We need 100 subscribers to make a custom YouTube URL. So, if you like these videos, please share them with your friends and subscribe to the channel. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think, let us know what you've been up to recently, what you've been doing in the new year, and what you thought of Hateful Eight or Spotlight or anything else that we talked about today. But until next time, we will see you guys later.